Excuse me. Excuse me, are you Santa Claus? I heard you might be him. If you are him, here's my list.
Help the Marines make Christmas possible for less fortunate children. Donate a new toy to Toys for Tots.
Here's Santa Claus.
Welcome to this month's Salute to Service. Today I have Mr. Ron Euler. Ron, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Ed.
Ron Euler is a Vietnam veteran and a Medina resident, correct?
Correct.
And where do you live in Medina County?
I live in Westfield Township. Okay, I live on Buffum Road.
How long have you been down there?
I've been down there for 10 years now.
10 years?
Right.
So are you originally from Medina or?
No, I'm originally from Wyandotte County.
Okay.
Little town, and name is Nevada, Ohio.
Yeah, I know where Wyandottes at. Yeah,
Right.
there's a service officer down there, as a matter of fact. So.
Oh, okay, good.
So,
good.
so did you go into? You're an Army veteran from?
Yes,
Okay.
from Vietnam.
And so you went into service from Wyandotte County, or
the board transferred me to Dallas, Texas. Okay.
out of Wyandotte County down to, okay.
I entered the service in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
I was 6 months from being 27 years old, so I was
Oh, you're a little
26
bit older
at
than
the
most
time.
guys, yeah.
Yeah, right. And so we owned a home. Okay, had a new car, had a good job. Okay, and when the notice came, I decided it was time to serve my country. Okay.
So you were already married and everything when you got drafted?
Oh yes, yes.
So how come? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, why did it take so long? Were you in college or were you just married? I mean, why?
I was just married and so forth, and working, and the notice just came through the mail.
So you finally got up your number, I guess. Huh?
Yes, yeah. It
Wow.
it's a small board,
Right.
It's more small county.
So when you got down to Dallas, they sent you to Dallas, I guess, and they drafted you there.
Right.
And then what happened to you?
Okay, from there we went to Fort Polk, Louisiana. Okay, right. They didn't have any facilities left, or any drill sergeants left to train us. So we spent 2 weeks there, just in some old barracks. Okay, and then they flew us out of there to Fort Riley, Kansas, to take our basic training. Okay, and that was with the Big Red One.
And we were talking a little bit before that about the barracks in Fort Polk were probably the prison camp from
Yes.
World War II because I know it used to be a prison camp down there.
Yes, it
So
was.
do you know why they didn't have anybody left to train you or anything like that? I mean, that seems kind of crazy.
Well, at the time, it was when they were building up for Vietnam.
Okay.
And they just had a big influx of too many people to train.
Right. Wow, that is wild. So they shipped you from Polk up to Kansas.
Right.
Not
yeah.
much better, I guess.
No,
Mosquitoes are a little bit smaller, but you know.
Yes, but it's extremely cold.
So what kind of, what did you do in the service?
Okay. In the service, I was in advanced infantry training. They assigned me to the 5th Army Marksmanship Training Unit. Okay, and I was trained as a shooter. Okay, and as a marksman. And this particular group, okay, went throughout the United States to participate in matches, okay, rifle matches, okay, and from there we took a lot of training, okay, in shooting arms and weapons.
So you must have been pretty good with a rifle.
Yes, yes.
I mean, did you get
absolutely.
selected for that because
Yes.
of how well you could shoot?
Yes, absolutely.
So you were branched infantry then, or?
Yes, I was branched infantry, okay, and later on, probably about 3 months before I was got my orders to go to Vietnam, I was promoted to a sergeant, okay, with the unit, okay, and then my orders came.
So were you classified as a sniper or just a marksman?
I was classified as a marksman, but capable of being a sniper.
Yeah. So you went to basic at Riley. Did they send you down? Where did you go to AIT at then?
AIT was right on the base at Fort Riley, Kansas.
Fort Riley?
Okay, with several senior sergeants, okay, who taught me how to handle a rifle properly and to shoot properly.
What were you shooting, an M16 or an M1? Or?
We were shooting M14s.
M14s, okay.
They were specially made, okay, and they trained us on how to shoot as snipers and at 500 and 1,000 yards. Okay.
Holy cow.
Right.
So did you go down to Fort Benning for anything? You said you were down
We
there?
went to Fort Benning for some rifle matches, okay, and also took some training there, okay.
So how long were you said you were a sergeant. How long were you in the service before you got orders for Vietnam?
Approximately, let's see, almost a year.
Almost a year. So did you kind of think you were going to go, or did you think maybe you wouldn't? Or
Well, I thought maybe I might slip past it, okay. But with the orders at the time from the from Congress and the president,
Right.
okay, there was a big influx of troops needed in Vietnam,
Right.
okay, and so many of us that went through basic training, okay, got our orders, okay.
Seems like there's always a big influx during any war, isn't
Yes,
there?
yes, there is. Yes, right, absolutely. And probably one of the interesting things, if you will, is that I shipped out to Vietnam on Christmas Day, okay, in 1967.
Merry Christmas, right?
Yes, Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Now, did your wife stay in Wyandotte County, or did she catch up with you?
Oh, okay. Well, she stayed. We lived in a suburb of Dallas, and she stayed there for a few months. She sold our house, okay, and then we moved her back to Upper Sandusky, Ohio, where her parents lived, and she stayed there until I got out of the service.
Did you get to come home before you went to Vietnam and see her? Or?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah,
I had just about 20 days leave okay, that they gave me before I had to go.
So what hit your? What are you thinking? When, you get them orders and you got to go. Wow, I'm going to Vietnam.
Oh yeah, right. I thought, oh, this is terrible.
Not a good thing, right?
This is not a good thing.
So how did you get to Vietnam? I mean, did you fly? Did you go on a boat?
Yeah, I flew out of San Francisco.
Travis Air Force Base, I think?
Yeah, Travis Air Force Base, okay. And it was in the middle of the night, okay, on a regular commercial airline, okay, along with a lot of other troops, okay, went with me, okay. And we landed in the middle of the day, okay, in Vietnam, okay.
Where at?
I don't remember exactly where it flew us into,
Yeah.
okay, but I do remember looking down and seeing how dismal it was. And the most memorable thing was walking out of the plane and the heat and humidity hit you.
Just hit you big time, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I can
right.
remember that in the desert, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's a big change of climatization there.
Yes, yes.
So how long were you in Vietnam?
I was in Vietnam for approximately 14 months, I believe it was.
What did you? So you didn't go over there with the whole unit. You went over there and got assigned to somebody. And all that
Yes,
stuff?
yes. I spent it was sent to a center, okay, for disbursement to a unit, okay, and the first sergeant of the unit didn't have any assignment for me as a sergeant, okay, and so they assigned me to guarding some POWs, okay, and I did that for 2 weeks, and they finally found an assignment for me with the
So what unit did you
battalion.
finally go with?
I went with the 3rd and 47th Infantry Battalion, Mobile Riverine Force, under the 9th Division.
Okay. So were you still an infantry guy at that point, or
Yes,
did they
I was
cross-train?
still I was still an infantry guy at that point, okay, and my new commander, okay, interviewed me, and he looked at a lot of the background that I had prior to coming into the service, because I was in computer technology.
Right.
And
Back in 1967, they had computers?
oh yes, absolutely, yeah.
Nobody thinks about that. You're like,
No.
computer, really?
There were those large
Yeah, they were
accounting
the
machines.
size of a house, you know?
Yeah, right,
yeah.
right. And he said, he told me, he said, I think you would be an excellent person to head up as an assistant operations sergeant in our S3, okay, operations.
Right.
And that, he says, that entails keeping track of all of the companies, okay, on a map, okay. It requires you to have radio contact with all of the units when we're in the field. You'll be on a PBR, command communications boat, okay, and you'll need to know, everything that's going on, okay.
You got to track the battle out there,
Yep,
right?
you have to track the battle, bring in the medevacs, bring in the air support and so forth. And he says, I want you to talk to our major. It's in charge of S3. And if he's satisfied, fine. He said, you've got the job.
Got the job. So what did you wind up doing? Where were you at, and what did you wind up doing over in Vietnam?
I was in the Mekong Delta, okay, with what they called the 4 Corps area. And we were in battle constantly, going up and down the Mekong River, policing, not only policing the river, but also our troops would go on missions, okay,
Right.
operations, and we would beach and conduct the battle, okay, that was given us, okay, and that was probably the most of the things that we did. We of course had a land base, which was Dong Tam, okay, and then we had a troop ship, the USS Benawa, okay, and that was our mothership,
Right.
okay, and then our PBRs were docked to it, okay, and then we'd go on missions and so forth.
So did you wind up doing that the whole time you were there? You stayed with that same unit?
Yes, I was with that same unit all the time that I was there, okay, and toward the end, the last 90 days, they took us to, they airlifted us to a little village called Ben Tre, okay, and we were then land-based there, okay, for the extent of my
I got to tell you, I know the little gunships they had going up the rivers and stuff, but it just seems like a hell of a target.
Oh, my goodness,
it seems like an easy way to ambush somebody is to stop the boat and just you're sitting on the shore and just opening fire.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that seems very...
Absolutely, yes. Several times, okay, when I was on board the command communications boat, I would have to bring in airstrikes and so forth, and I can recall many times standing up on the bow, okay, trying to direct these flights in, and of course you pop smoke so they know exactly where you are. And I can remember several times being, bullets flying around.
Yeah. So any experiences over there you want to share, I mean, that stands out, good, bad, or indifferent, I mean, that happened?
Well, one experience I had was of course, at that time, the war was being directed out of Washington, D.C.,
right.
and they had sent us out to an area that was not a safe area to actually put a whole battalion,
right.
okay? And we came under attack, a brutal attack, okay? And we lost our command radio bunker, okay? And there were many troops that were wounded, okay, from shrapnel and so forth, okay? And what I recall is I spent probably the next 4 hours after everything settled down, okay, bring in the medevac helicopters, okay?
Get out the wounded guys.
Get out the wounded guys, okay? Because there weren't too many people left.
Yeah. So when you're getting ready to go home, I mean, you're over there, you said about 14 months.
Right.
And, I mean, obviously, you're getting short.
Right.
Kind of start to change your perspective a little bit, don't you?
Right. Yes. Yeah. I started becoming a little more careful, okay, and conscientious, okay, and I did get a call from a friend of mine through basic training, okay, who lives in Texas City, okay, Texas, okay, and he was working at the 9th Infantry headquarters, okay, in the HR department, and somehow he was able to locate me out in the middle of the.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Right. And he asked me. He says, when he got a hold of me, he asked me. He says, "Would you like to go home? Okay, at the same time I'm going home." Okay, and I said, "Certainly." He says, "Okay, I'm going to cut your orders. Okay, they'll be coming through." Okay, and so he did the job, and I remember the morning that that I was going to leave. Okay, I really wasn't aware of what was happening. Okay, but I did hear this helicopter come in and land. Okay, and the battalion commander came over and asked me to come to his headquarters. Okay, and he gave me my Bronze Star. And told me, he says, "Your helicopter is waiting." Okay, you know.
Yeah, flew you out to go some
Right.
base where you caught the airplane home, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, we flew back to the mothership. I picked up all of my gear and so forth, and then they headed me out to the Bearcat, which was the main center for transferring back to the States.
So you were awarded the Bronze Star. You got a combat infantry badge.
Right.
And so when you were leaving out of there, it sounds like so you were there 14 months, but it sounds like you kind of just left one day and were gone. I mean, did it take a lot of out processing, or how many days from the time you got on that helicopter before you were home?
We were, let's see, I was home within 48 hours.
Wow.
Right.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they hurried us through.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Processed us out. Okay. We landed back in San Francisco, and of course, there was no one there to welcome us.
Right.
Okay, we turned in all of our gear. Okay, our flight was to go out the next morning, so they put us up in a hotel. Okay, and then we went out the next morning. Okay.
So how much time in the service did you spend after you came home from Vietnam?
After I came home from Vietnam, I was assigned to the reserves for a period, I believe, of 2 years.
But you pretty much went off active duty after that then?
Yes,
So you came back home to your wife and kids and all that?
That's right. I
Yeah.
came back, and then I started trying to find a job back in computer technology. Okay, and ended up landing a job at Cooper Tire and Rubber Company in Findlay, Ohio.
Okay.
Okay, and restarted my career.
And what did you wind up doing for your career?
What I ended up doing for my career was I ended up working for a large computer company. It's called Unisys Corporation. Okay, and I was a resource manager, and then became a director, okay, of business technology and so forth. Okay, and retired in 2006 after 32 years.
Now, did you go to college for that before you went in the service, or?
Yes, I was. Not before I went. I spent a couple of years in college before the service. Okay, when I came back out and was living in Findlay, okay, I went to University of Findlay and finished my degree. Okay.
You think any of that experience from the military, how did that carry over into your civilian job as far as?
I think it gave me the stamina, okay, and the drive that you needed to succeed, okay, and I think I've carried that forward for several years, okay, even today.
You said about your buddy who helped you and him came home together.
Right.
Did you stay in contact with him at all after the service?
Yeah, every once in a while we phone one another and just see how we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, and everything is going fine. Okay.
Good. That's a good thing, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Anybody else you stay in contact with from the service?
No one else that I was in with. Okay.
So I know you're involved with the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 385 here in
Medina.
Medina, yeah.
Right,
So
yes.
what do you do for them?
Okay, I'm the first vice president. Okay, for the chapter. Okay, and I'm also district director for the Northeast Ohio for the Buckeye State Council of Vietnam Veterans. Okay, and I have 6 chapters that I'm responsible for. Okay, I'm their interface between with the state. Okay, they have any problems and so forth, I'm the first person there to call. Okay. And then I try to handle the problem. Okay.
So what does, I mean, everybody knows about the American Legion and the VFW, and you know, what does the Vietnam Veterans of America, or what people consider the VVA, you hear that acronym a lot.
Right.
What do they do?
Okay, what we actually do is we have all Vietnam veterans that belong to the organization. Okay, it's a camaraderie. Okay, and we try to help one another. Okay, and we don't have a real formal meeting. We have an informal meeting, so everyone feels comfortable. Okay, all of the funds that are donated to us. Okay, like when we have a poppy handouts. Okay, at various stores and so forth. All of that money goes back into the community. Okay, we serve our community. We have 2 scholarships that we give out every year. Okay, we have Toys for Tots, which is with the Marines. Okay, and we keep that money stays in Medina. Okay, we also have a Give a Christmas. Okay, which there's a needy family in Medina County. Okay, we donate to that, and if there are children involved, okay, we buy gifts for the children that are appropriate for their age.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So I know, I mean, me and you have talked about this 50th commemoration of the Vietnam War that's coming up next year, and I know you guys are going to be very instrumental in that.
Right.
So we're planning that. From your perspective, being a Vietnam veteran, why do you think it's important to look back at the Vietnam War 50 years, today?
I think it's important to look back on what occurred. Okay, what happened with a lot of young men who went into the service. Okay, who weren't quite prepared. Okay, if you will, as far as maturity goes. Okay, and it caused a lot of problems for those young men. Okay, when they were faced with the day-to-day activities of a war. Okay, and the things that happened there. Okay, and I think something that helped contribute to my success there was being a little more mature at the time and being able to help some of those soldiers, okay, who were younger than myself, okay, and to help them get through the situation.
There's a lot of thoughts about, people talk about post-traumatic stress and really it wasn't recognized back then, and now it is, and everything else. But there's a lot of theories on that they say that maturity and age plays a huge factor on how someone comes out of a war, or how they are years later after that war.
That's
so
correct.
I mean, that's an interesting thing that you bring that up about the age. So going back, when you came home, I mean, the country's a lot different today towards the troops that come home versus the Vietnam guys. And it was a lot different for the World War II guys. I mean, we did this shift kind of, it seems like, and the Vietnam guys were in the middle. Any animosity or any anger towards what you felt or didn't feel when you came home from Vietnam?
Right. I think the biggest problem all of us had, okay, was when we came back, there was no welcome home. It seemed as though no one really cared about us whatsoever. Okay, and I think most of us couldn't wait to get our uniforms off. Okay, so that we became just part of the nation, so to speak. Okay? And we didn't speak too much about the Vietnam War or where we were.
Do you think it's fair to say that it seemed like the country or the people in the country held the soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen and all that responsible for what they didn't like about the war? Like, I was against the war and it's your fault. It was kind of, where today it seems like, we hold the government responsible for the war and
Yes.
don't hold the soldiers and sailors and those that are fighting the war.
Right,
You know, we don't
right.
blame them. They're just doing it. Does that seem safe to say or fair to
Yes,
say?
I believe that's very safe to
Yeah.
say. Okay, I think the people didn't understand. Okay, that you know what we were there for. That we were called to serve. Okay, and many of us said, okay,
Right.
it's time to serve my country.
Right.
Okay, and we did it without even thinking. Okay, that's how we were brought up.
Right. And you did what you were told to do. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the people today that serve their country, when they come home, owe a great bit of thanks to the Vietnam veterans, because you ensured that this era veteran gets the thanks that they deserve, and that, you know, people do understand that, well, if I'm against the war, it's not necessarily the people that are fighting its fault.
That's right.
You know, because they're just doing what they're ordered to do. It's interesting. Any last things that you want to say to anybody out there about Vietnam or about your service or anything like that?
Oh, the only thing I'd like to add to what we were just talking about is I recall my son who was in the first Iraq War, okay, and I can recall going to his base. He was with the 82nd Airborne, okay, and my
Got a
wife.
paratrooper in the family, huh?
Yes, absolutely, right. And he was a military policeman with them, okay, but he was also a paratrooper, okay. And I can recall when he came home, okay, the welcome home that was given to those soldiers.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that was because of Vietnam, though. I think a lot of people
Yes.
turned around and said, well, you know, we need to do this different because we screwed it up
Yes.
for the Vietnam guys. I mean,
Right.
I think there was a lot.
Absolutely.
In the first Gulf War, there was still a lot of leadership in the military that was left over from Vietnam, too.
Yes, there was.
I mean, General Schwarzkopf, he was a lieutenant in Vietnam. You know,
Yes.
Colin Powell was a lieutenant in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those guys and gals that were the leaders back then in the first Gulf War said, hey, you know, we didn't, you know, the country didn't get this right back then, and we
That's
need to
right.
make sure it's done right for those people coming home today.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think that and I tell everybody, you know, especially Vietnam veterans, I thank them. You know, when I got off the plane from Afghanistan, first hands my 92 guys shook was a Vietnam veteran. There was 3 of them standing there and welcome us home.
That's
and they
right.
were the first ones. So
That's right.
I thank you, and I thank you for coming by.
Hey, you bet.
I ask everybody that comes on the show, if you had to do it any different, would you do it all over again?
Yes, I would. I would
Yep.
serve my country.
There you go.
Okay?
All right. Well,
That's-
thanks for your service, Ron. I appreciate you coming to Salute to Service, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving. We're here to help.
Welcome to Understood.org, a free online resource for parents of kids with learning and attention issues, with personalized recommendations, tools, and expert advice.